Ask most people when to visit France, and they'll answer with weather. Spring is mild, summer is warm. Avoid the rain in November. That answer isn't wrong. It's just answering the wrong question. France doesn't run on one calendar. It runs on at least four, layered on top of each other, mostly invisible to anyone planning a trip around temperature alone. There's the weather calendar, which is the one everyone defaults to. There's the agricultural and culinary calendar, when the truffles come in, when the grapes are picked, when the lavender turns the Valensole Plateau purple for about 3 weeks, and then doesn't. There's the cultural calendar, festival season, opera season. The Tour de France closing roads across entire regions for an afternoon. And there's the calendar almost no first-time visitor accounts for at all. The one where the country closes. Not metaphorically. Actually closes, for weeks, while everyone who lives there goes on vacation from the place you just flew in to see. The best month to visit France isn't a weather question. It's a question of which of these 4 calendars you're actually trying to catch. Here's how each one works. Start with weather, because it's the calendar everyone already has half right, and getting the other half right changes everything. April through June is when most travel advice points, and the advice is generally sound. Mild temperatures, long daylight building towards summer, gardens and countryside at their most lush. But there's a specific window inside that window worth naming directly, mid-May to mid-June. By this point, spring's unpredictability has mostly settled, summer's heat hasn't arrived, and France's tourist infrastructure hasn't yet hit peak capacity. The light in the Loire Valley in late May, low and warm across the river, is the light painters made careers out of. This is, for purely meteorological reasons, close to the best stretch of weather France offers. July and August deliver the most reliable heat and the longest days, and they're also when France becomes, in a very specific sense, 2 countries simultaneously. More on that shortly. It's actually the most important thing about these 2 months, and it has nothing to do with temperature. September is underrated in a way that deserves direct correction. The summer crowds have largely gone. The weather is still genuinely good, often better than June, with less rain and steadier warmth. And the country is doing something in September that almost nobody who isn't there for it knows about, which leads directly to the second calendar. The agricultural and gastronomic calendar is where France reveals that its identity isn't really built around postcards. It's built around what's being harvested and when. September into October is grape harvest, less vendanges, across every wine region in the country, and it's one of the more remarkable things to witness if you time it right, because the date moves with the weather and isn't fixed on any calendar you can book 6 months in advance. Burgundy, Bordeaux, the Loire, Champagne. During harvest, these regions aren't scenic backdrops. They're working landscapes, full of activity, and many smaller domains welcome visitors to see the process rather than just taste the finished product. This is a completely different experience from visiting the same vineyards in March, when they're dormant and pretty and essentially empty of anything happening. Late autumn, October into December, is truffle season in the Périgord and Provence, when markets that are pleasant but ordinary the rest of the year transform into something genuinely worth traveling for. The smell alone is reason enough, and the truffle markets in towns like Sarlat or Rittranches operate with an intensity that has nothing to do with tourism and everything to do with a genuinely valuable, genuinely seasonal product changing hands. Lavender has exactly one window, and it's worth naming precisely because everyone gets it slightly wrong. The Valensole Plateau and the surrounding Luberon Hills in Provence bloom from roughly mid-June to mid-July, with the peak usually landing in the first 2 weeks of July. Arrive in May expecting purple fields, and you'll find green ones. Arrive in August, and the harvest is often already done, the fields cut to stubble. This is a 2 to 3 week window in a specific set of weeks that shifts slightly year to year depending on the season's heat, and it's the clearest example in all of France of a calendar that has nothing to do with what the weather app says is a good month to visit. Oysters follow the opposite logic of most produce. The French guidance is to eat them in months containing the letter R, which conveniently excludes May through August, the months when oysters are spawning and at their least appealing. September through April, particularly around the new year when oyster consumption in France spikes dramatically, is when the Atlantic coast's oyster regions are operating at their best. The cultural calendar runs independently of both of the others, and it's the one that turns a good trip into a specific, unrepeatable one. The Cannes Film Festival in May transforms a French Riviera town into something else entirely for about 2 weeks. Extraordinary if that's what you're there for, and worth deliberately avoiding if you wanted a quiet Riviera trip because prices and crowds both spike hard. The Tour de France in July closes roads across entire regions as the race passes through, which is either a remarkable spectacle to plan around or a logistical headache if you didn't know your rental car route was about to be a stage finish. Bastille Day on July 14th brings fireworks and military parades nationwide, with Paris doing it at the largest scale. Worth being in the country for if you want the full civic spectacle, worth knowing about if you'd rather avoid the crowds it draws to the capital specifically. The Avignon Festival through July turns a Provençal city into one of the most significant theater events in Europe, packing a town that's manageable the rest of the year. Christmas markets from late November through December transform Strasbourg and Colmar into something that looks almost staged in its charm, illuminated, genuinely festive, and correspondingly busy with people who know exactly what they came for. None of these dates move for weather. They move for the event. And the event, for the right traveler, matters more than whether it rains. Then there's the calendar that catches more first-time visitors off guard than anything else on this list, and it's the one most month-by-month guides barely mention: the calendar of closure. August in France is not simply a month when the weather happens to be warm. It's the month when a meaningful percentage of the country goes on its own vacation. Closures are common across small restaurants, family-run shops, and businesses in cities, particularly in Paris, for 2 to 4 weeks. This is a long-standing national rhythm, not a niche inconvenience. The tourist version of France stays fully operational. The hotels are open. The major sites run their normal hours. The big restaurants serving tourists keep serving them. But the bistro that was recommended to you, the bakery the locals actually use, the neighborhood restaurant with no website, these are exactly the places likeliest to have a handwritten sign in the window saying Fermeture Annuelle, closed until September. This produces a strange inversion that catches people who've done the rest of their research properly. They've avoided the worst of the heat, they've timed a festival, they've booked everything in advance, and they still end up eating worse than they would have in October because the version of Paris or Lyon that exists in August is thinner than the one that exists the rest of the year. It isn't a reason to avoid France in August. The country is still beautiful and the major attractions are unaffected. It's a reason to adjust expectations specifically around food and small business culture, and to know in advance that closed in August isn't bad luck. It's the calendar working exactly as it always does. So which month is actually best? The honest answer is that the question needs a second half before it can be answered. If you're optimizing for weather alone, mid-May to mid-June and September are doing the most work with the least compromise. If you're chasing a specific agricultural moment, lavender, harvest, truffles, oysters, the weather calendar becomes irrelevant and the produce calendar takes over entirely, sometimes landing you in a country you wouldn't otherwise have chosen those particular weeks for. If a festival is the reason for the trip, that date overrides everything else on this list, weather included. And if you're hoping for the full, fully staffed, nothing closed version of small town and neighborhood France, August is the one month worth building around rather than toward. There's no single best month because there's no single France being measured. There's a country running 4 calendars at once, and the trip that actually delivers what you came for is the one built around whichever of those 4 you didn't know to ask about. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, smash that like button and subscribe to When to Travel. We're all about helping you make smarter travel decisions. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. And hey, if you think your friends need this, share it. Comment below with your next destination or your biggest travel question. I'm reading all of them. Let's go.